Why crows never forget a face. You have probably walked past a crow without thinking much about it. It is just a bird, a common one. Black feathers, loud call, picking through rubbish on the side of the road. Nothing remarkable. Nothing that would make you feel watched. But here is something worth knowing before you walk past another one. The crow noticed you. It looked at your face. It filed that face away. And if you ever did anything to upset it, if you got too close to its nest, if you scared it, if you trapped it and released it as part of a scientific study, it will remember you. Not just for a few days, for years. Possibly for the rest of its life. And it will tell its friends. Stay with me until the end, because this is not just a story about a bird with a good memory. It is a story about what memory actually is, why grudges exist at all, and what it means that a crow's social intelligence overlaps with ours in ways that should make us deeply uncomfortable. And a
little bit impressed.
The experiment that started everything and made several researchers' commutes significantly worse. In the mid-2000s, a researcher at the University of Washington named John Marsluff wanted to find out whether crows could recognize individual human faces, not just react to humans in general, but distinguish one specific person from another. To test this, he and his team trapped wild crows on campus while wearing a particular rubber mask, a caveman face, chosen specifically because it was distinctive and reproducible. The crows were caught, banded, measured, and released unharmed. The whole process took a few minutes. The mask was worn the entire time. Then the researchers walked around campus in the same mask, and the previously trapped crows, and only those crows, immediately began scolding them, dive bombing, following, calling loudly to alert other birds. The crows that had not been trapped showed no reaction to the mask at all. The ones
that had been trapped recognized it instantly, from a distance, and responded to it as a specific, remembered threat. The team then walked the same routes wearing a different mask, a Dick Cheney mask in the original study, though the specific face is less important than what it proved. No reaction. The crows were not reacting to masks in general, or to humans in general, or to the act of walking near them. They were reacting to one specific face because of one specific event. That is individual facial recognition. In a bird. It gets worse. They told each other. As the study continued over months and then years, the researchers noticed something that had not been part of the original hypothesis. The number of crows scolding the dangerous mask was growing. Not shrinking, growing. Crows that had never been trapped, that had no personal experience of the caveman face, were joining in the harassment. Young crows, crows from other parts of campus, crows that could only have learned about the threat from other crows. The information was spreading, socially, through the flock. A crow that had been trapped was, in effect, telling other crows, "This face is dangerous. Watch for it." And those crows were passing it on in turn. Within a few years, the majority of crows in certain areas of the campus were scolding the caveman mask on sight, despite the fact that only a handful had ever had any direct experience with it. This is cultural transmission of learned information. It is, in the technical sense, a form of teaching. The crow community had developed a shared piece of knowledge about a specific human face and was maintaining that knowledge across individuals who had no first-hand experience of the original event. That is not instinct. That is not conditioning. That is something that, if we saw it in a primate, we would call culture. The brain that makes this possible is one of the strangest things in neuroscience. For a long time, the assumption in neuroscience was that intelligence, real intelligence, the kind that involves memory, planning, and social reasoning, required a neocortex. The neocortex is the outer layer of the mammalian brain, the wrinkled gray matter we associate with higher thinking. Birds do not have one. Their brains are structured completely differently. And so the working assumption for most of the 20th century was that birds were running on something more like sophisticated instinct than genuine cognition. That assumption is now considered wrong. What crows have, in place of a neocortex, is a region called the pallium, specifically a dense, highly developed section of it that processes information in ways that appear functionally equivalent to what the neocortex does in mammals. The architecture is different. The outcome is remarkably similar. Crows can plan for the future. They can use tools.
They can solve multi-step problems. They can recognize themselves in mirrors, a test that most animals fail, and that is widely used as a proxy for self-awareness. The crow's brain, relative to its body size, is proportionally comparable to a chimpanzee's. Evolution built a primate-level cognitive tool inside a bird. It just used completely different materials to get there. The grudge is not cruelty. It is one of the most rational things an animal can do. Here is the part worth sitting with. When we talk about a crow holding a grudge, we tend to frame it as something almost comic, a bird being petty. But look at it from the crow's perspective, and the logic is completely sound. A specific individual caused you harm. That individual is still in your environment. The probability that they will cause harm again is higher than the probability for a stranger. Remembering their face and treating them with extra caution is not pettiness. It is optimal risk management. And sharing that information with your flock is not gossip. It is a survival mechanism that benefits them. Entire group, at almost no cost to the individual. The crow that was trapped spends a few seconds scolding a passing human. Every other crow in earshot updates its threat model for free. The information propagates. The community becomes collectively safer. This is why social intelligence and memory evolve together. Because in a social species, knowing who to trust and being able to communicate that is one of the most valuable things a brain can do. The crow did not invent the grudge out of spite. The crow discovered over millions of years of evolution that remembering faces and sharing that information keeps you alive. We did exactly the same thing. We just usually do it with words. So the next time you walk past a crow, and you will because they are everywhere, it is worth remembering that it is almost certainly not thinking about you at all. You are nobody to it, an irrelevant large mammal passing through its territory. But if you ever do something to make yourself memorable to one, if you ever become a face worth knowing, just understand what you have signed up for. That crow will remember. Its children might remember. And somewhere across the city, a crow you have never met is already being briefed. Be nice to the crows. If this made you look at birds differently, and it should have, share it with someone who still thinks crows are just scavengers. And subscribe because the natural world has a lot more of this waiting for you.